Good evening, everybody. Welcome to your Monday night edition of Not Another Rangers podcast. 72 hours since we've been on, and I was thinking that intro was going. There's been a lot happened since then, so there's lots to cover tonight. I think we'll obviously talk a little bit about the game against St Johnstone, talk a little bit about the forthcoming game against Aberdeen, because it is a football pod as well, just in case you forget that.
That's guy.
About fans' protests, Patrick Stewart's media briefing, and probably a whole lot more. So maybe transfers, we're in the transfer window as well. Who knew? So there's tons to talk about for the next hour. So before we start into it, how are you tonight, Scott?
And for those, I'm all right, Gary.
Any videos today? Just for a check.
No, just on a 12-hour shift. No videos a day, Gary. I'm just in the door not long ago, and I thought I don't have anybody else. I was just frustrated on Saturday morning. Out walking alley and Walt, and I thought I'm going to have a wee rant here. So listen, that's what it is. It's folk like to criticise you with the clown, but I just thought I'll take it. I was fed up messaging you too, so I said I want to just have a rant.
And Ricky, how are you?
Good, mate. I had a good weekend. I'm trying not to let Rangers absolutely destroy your wife, you know. Maybe that 20% pain, but if you can at least keep 80% joy in your life away from Rangers, then all good, mate. So looking forward to speaking about whatever you've got to throw at us tonight.
Good. And Curry, I don't think you've been on any time I've been hosting this. And I think I said to Ricky earlier on, I didn't think we'd see you recently because Tav's injured, but welcome and for coming on the pod tonight. I think from what I've seen, please be careful what you say.
We're face to face, and I usually read to the chat. It's I'm doing well, mate. Really good. All the better for knowing that I don't use the same barber as Ricky. So I'm here to piss everybody off as usual and give you my point of view. It's only my point of view. Whether you agree or disagree, everybody's welcome to their own thoughts. So it's good to be here, mate, and nice to meet you, mate.
Not at all. Good. And as you said, you know, it's that great saying, opinions are like arses. Everybody's got one. You know, they don't need to agree with them. We will discuss. Keep it obviously clean as you can. You know, we've got a big growing audience, Gary. So children watching things like that. So just please. So Friday was a bit of a difficult pod, if I remember rightly. There was a lot of stress, angst, disappointment. But what we did get is we got 3,000 viewers. So thank you to each and every one of you that then watched the pod after that. We had lots of comments. I was looking at the comments this morning, lots of positive comments. Lots of people saying they enjoyed it. Lots of people saying they enjoyed engaging with it. So I think before I started, I did want to say thanks on behalf of all of us, particularly Scott, whose podcast it is. You know, it's the engagement we've been getting, and increased engagement over the last couple of months has been really good, Scott. And I think it's growing, you know, and it's been excellent.
It's not just my pod, Gary. I only started it. It's all you guys that come on it, make it what it is. So I couldn't do this myself. So it's yourself, Ricky, Curry when he comes on as a guest, and JD, Scotty and Ross as well, who come on every so often when they're available. So it's all you guys that make it. It's not just me. I'm just press the buttons behind the scenes and put the pod out there. But it's you guys that come on and talk the same nonsense as myself. I'll probably talk more nonsense right enough. So, but thanks everybody for watching, and hope you can continue to watch. You may not all agree with us all the time, but if we all agreed, it wouldn't be fun with it.
Exactly. So, and that's definitely what it's about. You know, we are just four guys going to be sitting and talking about football tonight, but hopefully you enjoy some of the content. Hopefully you agree with some of it. As Curry says, you might disagree with lots of it. It doesn't really matter. It's just an opinion. Don't get too het up about it. Don't get too worried. Don't get too concerned. It's just a view at a certain point in time. So when we're talking about this, you know, please like, share, subscribe, as you should do. I've seen it in the comments. I will say that a few times as I'm contractually obliged to do so. We want to try and obviously raise that up from there. And I think as the sniper says on their comment there, you know, we love the Rangers, and that's the main thing. That's what it's all about. You know, you watching and us listening and us talking is all about the sport for our football club, although it may seem sometimes that supports maybe a loosely used word. So I wanted the pod to be called "Should I Stay or Should I Go?" Right, but Scott didn't use my title because I suppose the biggest thing over the weekend in the game, and I'll come at you first, Ricky. You know, the biggest thing that's probably on everybody's lips, and for those walking up to the game and those talking about the game, was all about what was going to happen in 55 minutes. Was there going to be a mass walkout? Was there going to be how was the protest going to fare? What did people think was going to happen? And I think it did dominate both the pre-match and probably the post-match discussion. So I think were as well to kick off there and get your thoughts on how it went, what it was meant trying to achieve, and how successful it may have been.
Yeah, well, the Union Bears were quite late with the announcement that they were going to be doing it. I mean, we were all fed up, really fed up with our, and even our win over Celtic didn't damn. I mean, our form over the Christmas period was absolutely terrible, as bad as it's been, as bad as it could get. And the Union Bears put it out there, and I was very surprised because on social media there was a lot of traction with it, and a lot of people were agreeing with it. And so again, it just shows you how much. Don't believe everything you read on social media, because if you believed that, you would have thought that half the stadium was going to walk out with them. And I've actually seen a lot of footage, a lot more, and there was a lot more people actually walked out than I was watching it on Rangers TV. So they didn't. They were trying to hide it as much as possible. You seen the Union Bears clambering over the seats, and you obviously seen everyone booing. Now, I don't agree with the people booing, but I think that it just shows that everyone is just, as a Rangers fan, is completely fed up with the club, and people just didn't know how to react. It was in the moment. I mean, they brought out the 3 banners, and everyone was cheering when they brought out the banners. So it shows there is support there, and the message that the Union Bears are trying to get over, and all our supporters are trying to get over this. I think it is this. We're all sort of on the same page. I don't see a lot of people that want Clement to stay and that think he can turn this around. But when it happened, I thought a lot more people would have walked out. I mean, you were at the game, Gary. I mean, the atmosphere was absolutely, it was so weird. It was like being back during COVID times again. That's maybe why the players started well and we were good for 30 minutes. But for me, it was a very, very strange. I mean, they're on about the Aberdeen game. I don't want this to become a thing with the Union Bears. I think they've made their point now, I mean, the board, Patrick Stewart, everyone at the club, they understand how frustrated and angry the fans are. And if we play against Aberdeen and it doesn't go the way then we're going to let the players know anyway. So for me, I don't want the Union Bears to be continuing this game by game by game. For me, it's not the way to do it, But I thought it was, I was surprised with how little people walked out, and I was very surprised. I saw a few videos. You probably heard it, Gary, where you were sitting. Some of the abuse that people were shouting I saw a few videos, and I was really surprised with a lot of the abuse people were shouting at the Union Bears. So we will see how things go on Wednesday night. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, I don't think Clement is going to be able to turn this around. So for me, it's only going to get worse.
So, I've seen this comment from Big David, and it just made me laugh, actually. So another area where the opposition are ahead of us, when they do decide to protest, they all do it together. So there you go. We're not even very good at protesting at this moment in time. Obviously, I was at the game, so I think, yes, I think it was quite an interesting one. I do wonder, Scott, the Union Bears obviously bring a lot to the atmosphere and bring lots to the club. But there is also a big section of people also get frustrated with some of the things they do that go against the pyros, some of the other stuff. And I wonder how much it was to do with them walking out, whether there's also a chance just to voice a little bit of frustration with them in general. That's just an observation.
It might have been, Gary. Listen, and we all know a lot of folk don't like Union Bears. I think they do relatively well what they do. I think they bring atmosphere. Listen, it's young guys. I remember being that age myself. We all do. And you went to football, you were quite abusive towards the opposition support, and you were singing, you were chanting, stuff like that, and you didn't really give a shit what anybody thought because you were there to support your team. It's when you get older, you maybe change. But listen, we were all that age, and what they do is they do it because they like it. 10 years' time, they'll probably not be doing it anymore. There'll be a lot of folk doing it, so I take my hat off to them sometimes. Sometimes you get annoying, yeah, you do, when you see the videos in city centres when they're trying to fight and they're getting chased, or they're bullying other people in away games, trying to get a position in the stand and moving people away. I don't like that, but that's what happens sometimes when you're the board give these fans a lot of tickets, they give these guys a lot of power to where they're sitting. It's like, I still think moving them into Cotton was a mistake. I think it should have just stayed in the Broomloan really well. I think it was far better in there. But on the booing, listen, it wasn't just the Union Bears. The Rangers Supporters Association also voiced a boycott. So this was a Union Bears thing. Rangers Supporters Association done it first, and Union Bears jumped on it as well. So it wasn't just them that organised this. It was the fans. A lot of fans did leave. Listen, I think many was it yesterday, about 35,000, if that.
A lot of people didn't go. I think that's a big thing.
There was a lot of empty seats when I watched it. I mean, I never went because I was just boycotting for the house. I wasn't going to go and say I'm leaving because I rather just no go.
Walked out the living room in 55 minutes, mate.
I actually worked, Gary. I got a leaking Sunday, so I was in and out the garage because I was pissing everywhere. So even if I wanted to go, I probably couldn't have. But somebody said that RSA didn't organise a walkout. Well, reading in their statement, said they were organising a protest of some kind. So if I'm wrong there, then I'm wrong there. But it wasn't just the union bears; it was both of them. But I don't agree with people booing them because you've got a right to protest as long as it's peaceful and nobody's getting hurt and stuff like that. I'm fine with that. I just feel booing them and stuff like that. And fans are entitled to stay and watch the match because they pay their money as well as people walking away. I just feel that was a bad bit of press we got because it seems like the fans are divided and we all just want Rangers to go in the one direction. But now, because it seems like there's a divide in the fan base between fans that don't want the board of the manager and fans that are happy with the board of the manager, I feel that gives the board more support. Do you know what I mean? It's like the board are sitting saying, well, there's more people no leaving, and they're booing the ones that are leaving. I just feel inside they'll be thinking, that's a good sign for us. Maybe that's just my opinion. It's not anybody else's. That's just my opinion. But listen, if people want to protest, fair enough. Protest. I went up the stadium and John Brown was outside the doors. I've walking towards Hampden as well, and I've done it. So I'm not going to say to folk don't, but it's entirely up to yourself, Gary. And but I would say, Ricky said, don't do it again. I would say continue it. You can't. One protest doesn't mean anything. That's just showing you're trying to do something. And after that, it's like, yeah, fair enough, you've done it. You have to, if you want to protest to make a point and to prove something, and if people to believe in the cause that you're trying to get to, keep doing it. But you also have to come out with why you're doing it and it's the end game. You just can't protest. You have to come out and say, right, we want changes here, we want changes there. We want to move forward this way. Just don't have a protest come out with a statement saying why. But you have to keep protesting. You can't just stop it after one. Stop it after one, it's pointless.
I think just to pick up Ricky's point, I'm presuming it's not about not protesting, voicing displeasure. It's about the method. And I think that having a protest or walking out probably isn't going to be effective again. I think that's, and I'd be surprised if they'd want to do that, given the way it did go a bit wrong in some senses. But if you do want to give a protest, everybody's entitled to that. I think for myself, I didn't walk out. I wouldn't walk out. I've never walked out in a game in my life, and I never will. But if that's what other people felt was the appropriate thing for them, that's fine. The booing was an interesting one. It's amazing what you hear on social media and what you read. There was significant booing. You know, there was a lot of booing. There was people walked out of every other stand as well. You know, but nowhere near the expected traction. I think that people anticipate was going to be the case. I think that's probably why it's caught their attention. Gary, before we come on to other topics, just your quick comments on the proposed walkout or the part walkout, and how well received it may have been across the sport.
Same with the guys. The guys walking out are thoroughly understand why. If I was a part of going to Ibrox now, which I've stopped, I've also stopped buying merchandise this season. I've not bought one item at all. The last 3 seasons, I've had every single top that's came out. I've been to Ibrox doing the tour. Been to Edmondson. I've done it all. This season, I've not done anything because I refused to put money in. And at the start of the season, I said why. I said as long as them players like Tavernier. Yes, that's my rant, and that's my only rant.
Nice to get in. You can do it.
And Dessers are continually getting played. Yeah, that's the bingo card. But that's the only thing I'm going to say because I can't say he's still been playing the last couple of weeks, so it's nothing to do with the fit brother now. As long as they were there and Clement was in charge, I am not putting a penny, and I'm not giving a penny to this board because I don't trust them with it. The booing upset me. I think there's a fracture between in our club now, and it's something that that's probably the most saddening thing about this whole thing is the total fracture of all our supporters and fans because they're treating each other like that. We're basically going through the same as that mob did in the 55 season because they're all laughing at us, right? And they're quite entitled to do that, right? Because we were laughing at them when all their fans were doing the exact same thing. Because you remember, all their season ticket holders were doing the same calling out and booing as the Gangrene Brigade and all the rest of them when they were doing the exact same as what the Union Bears are doing. And as Scott said, it's not just the Union Bears. It was the Ranger Supporters Association as well that arranged this. And there was quite a lot of people that walked out, right? But the thing is that the hypocrisy that really got me about this whole thing were the same ones that were booing, or all the same ones that left at 70 minutes.
Subway time, though. Subway time, Curry.
I don't want to call them that, right? But we all know who they are. But they're the ones that were booing, but they're the ones that week after week leave at 70, 75 minutes. So they've got a bloody cheek. So, but as I said, I just don't like seeing the fracture. There are a lot of name calling, the happy clappers. I'll always call anybody that's willing to watch this and not do anything at all is a happy clapper, because you're accepting what you're getting. So don't go into social media, don't say to your pals, come on to pods and complain about it. Because if you're going to come in here and complain about it, but go to the actual park and stand there and watch it for 90 minutes and accept it, well, that's your own fault. You get what you deserve. It's just as simple as that. But that's just me. This board has really, really screwed the Rangers fans up. They really have. And it's they're to blame.
I'm going to stick with that, Kerry, then, right? So I'm going to stick with you on that, then, right? Because I'm curious now, because we've heard that there was a few chances to sack the board, right? I heard that. I think the Union Bears might have done that at one point.
What happened?
Yeah. But I suppose my question is then, because people, it's easy to talk about the board's done this, the board's done that, and it's all their fault. You know, people use that phrase all the time. I'm sometimes not sure if half the time we know that why they're actually saying it. So I suppose just from your perspective, what is it you think the board have done wrong over the last 2 years then, presumably?
Total mismanagement of money.
Just a couple of examples.
Right, just a couple. Right, well, we'll start with the main one that really got really on me, and I think near enough every Ranger supporter, the Australian debacle. Edmondson House being costing more than it was supposed to and delayed. The Ranger Sports Bar were still waiting. The contracts were continually in court for the last 5-6 years now. Players being brought in and overpaid, then being sold off for next to nothing. Bringing in managers and giving them basically the keys to the war chest who weren't qualified.
Curry, that's about 10 points you'd have to. He said 2.
Right. Let's leave some for Ricky and Scott then. Right?
We've not got any left. I'm right. Curry, I'm writing them down.
You can stop there, Curry, then, right? You stop there and we'll give some other people a chance.
He's just done them all, for fuck's sake. I was writing them down there. I was writing them down on a piece of paper. You said 2 and he did 12.
So I think that, you know, I suppose I'm asking the point because I think there is a lot of talk about sack the board and a lot of talk about the board have failed us within this, and it's sometimes hard to articulate because I don't like this when people just suggest it's their fault.
Gary, we are behind Celtic. We are 15 points behind Celtic, right? The board, the parks have got their name on everything at the training ground, Ibrox. You do interviews, Europa League, their names everywhere. They don't want to speak to the board, right? Now, Patrick Stewart gets a little bit of a break because he's been in for 4 or 5 weeks, right? Clement is finished. It doesn't matter. Fans can go mental about him still being here and him still being the manager, and people want to burn everything down and all that, and I totally get that, right? When Patrick Stewart said the other day, we have a plan in place for the manager, he was full of shite. They do not have a backup plan for a new manager. There is no way in the last 4 weeks he's came into the office and he said to himself, okay, who is the manager that's going to replace Clement, right? So he's probably now taking a step back. The results are not going to improve. We can see that 100%. They're going to give him 2 players in January. How the hell is 2 players going to improve this team and this squad, right? So when you're on about the board now have to forget about all the crap in the past, and everything Curry said is absolutely spot on. The board have to tell us what they are planning to do to back the next manager, because it doesn't matter. You're right, Gary. We speak about this in the group chat all the time. You can bring in Pep Guardiola right now and get rid of Clement. If nothing changes in the background and you don't give him any money to support him and you don't get out, we've got 10 players robbing the club blind. It was Matondo last week. On the weekend, it was Dessers that came onto the park and gave one of the worst performances. Every sub was pathetic. 1 out of 10 performances when they come on the park. So we need a plan from the board about what we need exactly. They need to be transparent with the fans. This is what we are going to do to try and catch Celtic. This is the plan to get the fans back on side. Clement is done. Forget about the match. He's here just now, but he's here only in name. That is why why we're so upset with it. I think because we're miles behind Celtic and they're only getting better, and we're not investing money. We've got no plan. Everything they say to us is just absolute moonbeams. There's nothing actually tangible in anything they're saying. So that's why the fans are upset and they're saying sack the board, sack the board, sack the board.
Yeah, so there's a comment here, sorry, from Great Showman. I have to stop making excuses. What I'm doing is asking questions to get people to come up and explain some of stuff. That's not making excuses. Just to be clear, I'm not suggesting I view whether doing well.
I was just actually going to bring that up, Gary. That people need to remember, right? Gary's hosting the show, right? So although it might come across that he's taking the side of the board and the manager, but he might actually do personally. I don't know, but he's here to just try and keep it an even keel. It's to try and it's basically try to sit in the fence. Although you don't want to. I mean, say I certainly couldn't do what Gary's doing because I can't sit in the fence, as you all know. But that's just what he's trying to do. So I don't think he's trying to make excuses, but I certainly hope he's bloody no.
There are opinions I'll agree with, opinions I won't. That's how it works. And that's it. But as a host, you've got to try and make people think a bit different. Also, if we're all going to sit and agree, it's been done in 5 minutes every time, unfortunately. So again, Scott, you've been quite vocal about your view on the board. I think, and we've had some discussions various times. And thank you, Linda. You're a lovely viewer as well. Scott, you've been quite vocal in your views on the board. So how would you see a solution? Because it's all right saying sack the board again, but we owe them multi-millions because they've been
invested. Yeah, you can't sack them, Gary. You can't. I mean, by all accounts, we're 28 million in debt. I don't know if that's still correct, if it's higher, if it's low. That's the last I was told. But 24 of that's supposed to be owed towards John Bennett.
Yeah.
Somebody could tell me if I'm wrong, but that's what I've heard. So if that's true, why is everybody always saying the parts put money in? If 24 million still owed to Bennett, do you know what I mean? I know the parts, listen, are good businessmen in their own field. So may Bennett, so may Latham, so may the rest of them. They're all good at doing what their own businessmen do if they get other companies, parts get other companies. So that's great. But running a football club, yeah, when they come in, you can look back and say they put money in, they saved as a steady the ship, as we say, and they've done reasonably well. But we're looking for other investment, but there's not a lot out there. And we just can't sack them, Gary, because we owe them money. You just can't say to people, right, you're sacked, but we owe you 20 million, see you later. It doesn't work like that. I mean, we're saying the board, but they're also kind of the owners as well, aren't they? Because they get shares worth that much money. So it's very hard. You need a lot of investment to get them away. Plus, they need to want to sell as well. They need to want to sell their shares to go away. Now, Dave King wanted to come back in because, to me, he's got his troubles as well, but I think he likes to get things in a better looking for prospective buyers. Dave King and the parts do. So does he come back? I don't know. I don't think he does. I think the board trust him, but he wanted to sell his shares, but he would be silly to sell them now rather than sell them when you're winning. Do you know what I mean? So, but to get investment up in Scotland is very difficult. We don't play in a league that gets a lot of investment. We are a big club, right? But we're not big enough because we're finishing second constantly. We're not winning a league title. We've won one, but 13 year, 12 year. No cup here and there. Yeah, we won a European one, we got to a final, but that's not enough to get investors. I mean, you look at Celtic across the road, which we don't like to do, but their business, I think they're about £1 million in debt. Look at their business model because of just years of getting Champions League money.
Yeah. And
they're getting big sponsors with Adidas and other stuff like that. We're struggling to get that just because of where we are just now. So the board do have to look at it, but there's only so much money they can invest themselves because they're going to run out of it as well. They're going to think, I'm not putting the money into this because it's basically a sinking ship. No. So they're looking for the fans to invest, and the fans do invest, but it's trying to find a middle ground where maybe that's why they bought Patrick Stewart in and are doing an external review. I mean, I'm not a big fan of these things because I think they know what the troubles are, but I just think they want it from another perspective. Whereas somebody that's not involved in the club scene it with fresh eyes, as Patrick Stewart says. But I don't really know. I think in the end game as football nowadays, to be successful, you probably need money. Yeah. But Patrick Stewart came from Man United, who have spent a shitload of money to not be successful. So surely he must know working at United, the troubles he went through, manager, spent billions, and he's come to Rangers and thinking, this is very similar to what I've seen for the last 14, 15 years. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I'm looking at it. It might be different. I'm not a businessman. I don't work in that kind of field, so I'm not sure how things like that work.
I think he said that, Scott. You know, obviously, if you read every single word they said, one of the things he did say, he said one of the failures of Man United over the last 10 years has been short-termism, and we'll come back to some of that probably later on, and what he doesn't want to do, now he's in charge at Rangers, to do the same thing that they've done, because it's also what Rangers have been doing for the last 5-10 years as well. So I think he did mention that and reference that, which was quite interesting, that that's part of the reason for the external review. I suppose we could spend all night talking around in circles about the club and about the board and all these things and the protests. There's no right or wrong answer. And when we come back in a little while to the old Patrick Stewart, we'll talk about Patrick Stewart thing now. So he gave an interview, Kerry, and he kind of talked about various things. We'll maybe go through them one by one. So I'll get you to pick on one, maybe 4 or 5 key points. One of the things he did say was he was going to back Clement now. What was interesting about it was he was backing Clement now, but only now, because the results need to improve, I think was his wording. That it was, I think he was quite clear. I thought it was quite barbed the way he said it, the results aren't good enough and need to be better.
We're 15 points behind. How could he get much worse? So I don't. I'm sorry, but Patrick Stewart's time with the board's a bitch. As simple as that. He's come in and he's the board's talking piece. That's the only reason. He's trying to tell us that keeping Clement is a difficult thing. Not, wasn't he? That was the easy thing to do. They said nothing to change. They just keep the way the things are just now. We're getting repaid, or the board is showing how much they think of the Rangers support. Because no matter whether you believe on the walking away and the walking out in 55 minutes, or the booing or anything like that, take that all away. Because I don't want to start pointing the finger at the actual fans themselves. This is the board's fault that we are in this position right now. And Clement is at fault for what's on the pitch. That he's proved time and time again that he's no good enough. He makes baffling decisions on starting 11s, baffling decisions on substitutions. They're just at the weekend there with a right-sided winger playing on the left and a left-sided winger playing on the right. What was that all about? It's like, and it was the other game, but we're playing the right winger at right back. But what are you doing, mate? He spoke about Bailey Rice a couple of days ago that he was going to be included. He wasn't even on the bench. I just cannot stand the man. I really do. He's the first Ranger manager I can actually say that I actually detest. I actually detest him as a manager, and we're going nowhere underneath him. And this board has allowed it, and Patrick Stewart has took the easy route. He's no time he took the difficult decision. He took the easy decision, and he's lost my backing right away. And I don't think I'll ever go back, and I'll no change my mind on him. So that's just me.
No, that's right. And I mean, I think I can. It's a difficult one. He's only been there a month to make a judgment on what his role is fully. So we'll come through some of the questions. There's a couple of statements, Rick. I'm going to come to you in the next one. I jotted down. What he said was, in terms of signings, there'll be maybe one or potentially two new signings. But I think the bigger bit around that was there's reactionary signings. There's ones that you do, like the centre back being out, which I think he talked about. But there's also the ones about building for the future, pre-contracts and things like that. So he talked a few times at this stage about no short-term fixes and just trying to actually structuring the. But also the point he did make was Clement does not sign players. He repeated that a few times. It's the board and it's this footballing department, which was quite an interesting way that it was quite clear on that. It's never really been outlined in that way.
Well, he gets the final say, but I mean that's why you've got football's changed a lot. That's why you've got a recruitment team and the scouting network, and then they sit around the table and they bring the players. The Coppin brings the players to come on, and then he says, "Okay, I fancy him." They probably give him 2-3 options, and they did say there was a lot of. He's been looking at a lot of players, but it's the same thing. Our squad is still. We've still got 10 players that we need to move on, and I'm not saying move them all on in January. That's impossible. But we all know the players that are draining the club of money. You know, your Dessers, your Matondo, your Dowell. Players like that, I mean, they just do not. I mean, Dessers at the weekend just looked, and I'm not picking on the guy, but if that is your player that's coming on as a substitute, when you come on as a substitute for a club like Rangers, you're supposed to care and look like I've not been playing in the team. If I come on here and score a couple of goals and play well, I'm going to be in the manager's eye, and we're playing Aberdeen on Wednesday. They look like they're annoyed to get the big jacket off and come onto the pitch. The only one that showed, and he was garbage, but he at least showed that he had something about him, was Cortez, and he was rubbish when he came on, but at least he had a good attitude and he had energy about him, and he was trying things, and nothing came off. But the rest that he brought on just looked like they didn't want to be there. So to me, if the manager's not going to be there, I would be happy to move a lot of players out, promote some of the younger guys because the season's completely done. We're 15 points behind, and then go for a big move, try and move 7 or 8 swap in the summer. That need moved. For me, that would be 9-10 players that would be swapped between now and the start of next season. And the problem with I would be looking at an intern manager if we do in a couple of weeks off the sack come on, because these players have chucked so many managers under a bus, Gary. You know, you bring in a Muscat or a McInnes or someone else, and before everyone goes mental in the comments, I'm just saying a couple of names. You bring them in now, and then they get that 3-month pointless bounce from the players where we win every single match home and away, look amazing, and then when the pressure's back on next season, we start dropping points and we're back to exactly the same position. So that I don't actually mind Stuart taking a bit of time with this decision, because I would rather that the club get it right. We all know Clement is done. It's just a matter of time when we're going to pull the trigger on that. But the next manager that comes in has to be correct. We'll have to hope that none of the board members are involved this time with the decision, that Stuart gets help from Coppin and some other football people come in and give them a hand with choosing the right manager. And we'll see who that is. But we'll have to hit the ground running next season, Gary, because fans are... we've had enough, mate. We can't keep going through this every single season.
Gary, could you do me a favour before you move on? Could you put Scott Tierney's message up, mate?
What one was it? The
one that did anyone notice? See that? I did notice it, Scott. The me and Scott, we argued quite a lot in chat, right? A lot of things we don't agree on. See, when I seen that, by the way, I was going absolutely mental, and it's true. The two of them were sitting there laughing when they scored, and I was like, "What? Really?"
So I was thinking, so I'm just curious, how could Dessers be on the stand if he was on the bench?
No, they started on the bench. They were on the bench.
I suppose that's what I was wondering. How can they do
it? Oh, sorry, mate. That was me miswording it. Sorry, bud. No, they were on the bench actually laughing.
Right.
And I was like, wow. Just wow. That's the mentality of this guy. But we all know, but everybody, I think we've all made the decision on Dessers anyway. He was never ever good enough anyway. But
I think he has his fail, to be honest. I think you say, I think this is Ricky says, he's probably not down tools, but he probably knows he's going. There's no future for him at the club.
Gary, definitely, mate.
So I suppose the other thing that jumped out of Scott was he talked about the culture, the organisation or culture of Rangers effectively needs to be right to create success rather than just short-term fixes, short-term Nod Cup here and there, flinging things at it, so on. And we've talked a lot in the group chats and in pods about the fact is you can bring in as many managers as you want unless you fix the other stuff that's wrong, fundamentally wrong. All these other player staff leave constantly. The academy is not right. I suppose the commercial side, right? I suppose what came across is he was looking at much more of the detail, I suppose, than just getting a winning team in the park, which I suppose is a little bit we're actually interested in, really.
Listen, I think Patrick Stewart's come in. I think Patrick will end up doing really well for the club. I think he knows what he's talking about. I think he knows what he's doing. He's all in the door. I mean, he's not going to fix everything overnight. It's not going to happen. As you know, I'm very critical of Clement. No, because I don't think all of this is on him. I just think he's a bad manager. That's the only reason I'm critical of him. I don't think the issues with the board or other stuff's on him. I just don't think he's good enough manager to take us forward. That's just my opinion on the manager. I don't think he's good enough to take us forward. Even if we get new players, I think the same cycle with the manager continues because he showed it last season, he's shown it this season. I think if he's here next season, that will happen again, but that's just my opinion on him. I think Scott said as well, I think Stuart, he does need time. I think he has to come in and see what's going on. I mean, don't get any CEOs getting into companies and telling things overnight. It does take time, Gary, as you know, you're one yourself. So I think we have to give him time to do his job, and that's why it can take 6 months or more to implement what he's trying to do. And what you got in place. You mentioned bringing in a sporting director, but to me, it's a good thing. Because I don't trust Klopp either. I don't trust him to have all this decision making just himself. He's went for being a scout or whatever, and then to get all this power at a football club. I don't think he gets that. I think he maybe get a wee bit, but bring somebody else to help him along. I think that's a lot for one guy. We've seen it happen before when Ross Wilson had it all. Don't get me wrong, Ross Wilson's doing good at Forest, but he's not the only guy there. There are a few other guys at Forest, not just him, but we need a couple other people in there to help the sporting, the football department, and then behind the scenes in the academy and other places. So as a big fix, it will take time. But to me, all that stuff doesn't excuse the performances on the park for me. That's where I lie the blame me. Come on. He uses this saying he was a lone figure behind the scenes. But all that stuff, it happens with other clubs. That doesn't excuse getting beat only winning 3 away games and getting beat with St Martin and drawing at Motherwell and losing a 2-goal lead against Hibs. Just because it's behind the scenes is poor, that doesn't excuse what's going on. Because football players don't give a rat's arse what's going on behind the scenes. They come in, train, go up the road, then they play their game. They don't care who the board is, the chairman is. They're getting paid the money, they don't really care. So that's where his downfall is. I think it will take time. Listen, Gary, Ricky and Gary, this isn't going to be a quick fix for us, and I know that. But I just want Rangers to be going in a direction where we think we can see light at the end of the tunnel. In this moment in time, there's no light at the end of the tunnel for me. I'm not saying a new manager provides that, but I think a new manager will give us more if it's the right manager. Just kind of bring in anybody. It has to be somebody who's going to put us back on a steady footing and goes forward. I think we're so far behind. I don't want to win the league next season anyway, because I think they're too far ahead. But if we're challenging, and he talks about budgets and everything else, so with his logical ideas, we should be beating everybody else. So literally, we shouldn't be many points behind them because they beat us and we beat them. But that's not the case in reality. So if we get a decent manager on footing, I mean, well, you mentioned Gary, it could be anybody. There's a lot of managers out of work who would take this Rangers job. We are still a big club. We're still a big proposition. We're still a thing that people come in and say, I can turn that club around again because get them back to where they were. There's managers out there would do that. And somebody mentioned Mourinho. I love it. I love Jose Mourinho myself. I just love Jose. I love him about Rangers, but that's just me. It will take time. I just wanted to see somewhere we're going forward. I'm fed up stagnating or going back because I feel just now, we're in a position just now where we were before Steven Gerrard came in. And Gerrard wasn't a finished article. He came in here and that was his first ever job. He won his one league with nothing else. But you can see progress at times of what he was trying to do and what he was implementing. Almost seen that for Gio, no really, and that's why he got the sack. But Gio to me wasn't any worse than Clement or Beale. I think the three of them are as bad as each other. But I think for some reason Clement is getting a lot more rope to play with, and I don't understand why.
It's an interesting one, you know. It's not for giving an opinion, but one of the things that you said there, the Gerrard one always interests me. I'm not sure Gerrard wasn't more of a lucky thing that happened at that time. I don't necessarily think the culture in the club's actually any better than it was 10 years ago. But we got.
I remember Gary when Gerrard, man, he had to change a full team because Rob Kiernan, Jason Holt, Clement came into a side that had no long been to a European final. There's a vast difference.
No, I'm not defending Clement at all. What I'm saying is I sometimes think the Gerrard story that people tell is a bit of a myth. Do you know the club was still a bit of a mess? The reason we won the league potentially was partly because Celtic imploded, and we also spent money that we didn't have on roof
It was, but I think Gerrard's personality and because his image of who he was, get through a lot of players as well because I'm playing for Steven Gerrard. Do you know what I mean? So that helped. I don't think he was the greatest coach as he proved at Aston Villa, but he was the right man at the right time, but he still wasn't that successful. I just feel we need to go back before we can go forward. And we are getting back, but I still feel we need something totally different in a dugout and behind the scenes. But then again, it comes back to finance.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I don't want to have a Steven Gerrard debate. Arms obviously put a comment up there. Just Gerrard was a winner, and he won 1 out of 9 trophies. So there's maybe an argument that didn't necessarily go as well in that sense. But you know, we won. Things were successful, and that's probably what's tidied us over for now. But we need to really look properly in a bit more depth at the club and try and get yourself. Because the last 10, 15 years, you showed me something today, Scott. 15 years ago, that people were protesting about the club and similar things as they're protesting now. Your volume has disappeared there, Scott.
A lot of things was on that thing I showed you was exactly what's happening today. They were just different names because it was different players.
Mike Ashley then.
It was just the same stuff, but 15 years ago. And I even showed you was a banner before that. I think it was 2000, but David Murray. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So you can go back as long as you want. And there's always at one point the fans aren't happy. Right. But this is more difficult because of the situation, and like I say, finance. And this is very, very difficult because the more we go back, the further we're going to fall. And we will turn into a team who will get to the odd cup final. I remember the 80s. We were finishing in 3rd and 4th league, get to cup final. Aberdeen with Compass, but we go to cup final, we beat Dundee United, and then we won the odd Scottish Cup. I don't want to go back to the days. I don't, but I feel we're closer to the days, and we are closer to the days that we've all seen in the past.
I don't disagree with you, and I suppose that's what I was saying. Maybe I still think we've been closer for the whole last 10 years. We've maybe got a good 2 years in amongst that. I don't think we've necessarily developed as much as we should have since 2012, unfortunately. I suppose what I want to kind of come to, Gary, is just kind of finish. We could talk about both before we actually talk about football. As I say, it's a football pod. Last question, I suppose, is that transition season, right? We talked a lot about, people have talked a lot about transition season, and part of the transition season was doing things, and I'm just kind of, I've jotted down some things. And if I was Philip Clement, and I'm not defending him before he starts wanting to give me comments and all the rest that goes with it. If I'm Philip Clement, I'm saying I've reduced the wage bill. I've brought in young players we could sell for money. I have reached 3 cup finals. I've done better in Europe than probably would be expected. I have, and what's killing me is my away record. Fundamentally, that's what's killing us. But if we're looking at it being a transition season, what did we expect from a transition season? And I know you're going to say not 15 points behind, but what would have been acceptable? I suppose I'm interested.
It would be. I can't put it down to anything else, but that, Gary, it has to be that we're at least in a position where we can see some progress. Transition doesn't mean to say transition for the worse, and that's the thing. It's basically got worse. The squad now looks a shadow of itself of it was 4 years ago. Even when Bill's got a better record.
Yeah, and aye, Clement's got a phenomenal record. I realise it.
If you look at the record books, the only one manager that Clement in their recent history that he's actually better than is Caixinha. and that's only just. And he's actually got a worst away record. Like Coutinho, which is nuts. I don't trust Clement, the same as Scott. I don't trust him to take us forward or take the players. Any players that we bring in, I don't think will be utilised in the proper way. He's yet to prove that with any player yet. We've got a diamond in Ingeman. The young boy is just absolutely head and shoulders above.
Is Clement not managed them well then, Gary?
What, Gary?
Is Clement arguably not managed them well then by giving him a month or two to develop before he brought him in?
No, because he put him in there because he had nobody else. It wasn't done by design.
Yeah.
It was done by accident. The same with the two strikers, using two strikers. That wasn't done by design. That was done because he had no other choice. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, as soon as he seen that and it worked, and we beat that mob, we absolutely trounced them. And he stopped doing it. And there's not any fan that can turn around and say, well, he done the right thing. It's just the whole situation, the same. Right now, the league's finished. I think we can all put our hand up and say, the league's finished. Why are the young youth players not coming in to replace the likes of Dessers, Dow? I had a lot of hope for McCausland. I think I don't know what's happened to that young boy, but there's certainly he's not a shadow of the player that he was when he first came in. These players need to be dropped. Put them in gardening leave, right? Listen, just go and try do what he did with Hadji. Put them in the B team. You can play there. Find yourselves another club. If you don't find yourself another club, you just continue to play the B team and move the young boys up. I would much rather have seen a Lovelace on than a Dessers. And whether Lovelace is good enough or no, it doesn't matter. The league's done. Losing another 3 points is not going to change anybody's mentality on Clement. Clement's already done with the Rangers fans. They already know he's finished. We all know that. It's only a matter of time before they kick him out the door. So I would have a lot more respect for Clement if he said, do you want to know something? See these guys? They're just not good enough. They're not trying. You could see that, as Ricky said earlier on. That's a disgrace. And it's not the first time he's done that. Just stop playing them and put a young boy on in his place, because I'd much rather see that. And even if we did get beat, so what? At least we're bloody trying and we're looking towards the future. But that's... I just think the whole thing's a shit show, mate. It really is. And I think the management has to change. The sooner the better for me.
So I'm going to stick with that train of thought then, Ricky, just talking about transition and talking about the youth players. So if, and people pick on Dessers and Dell, there's a few players, Matondo, maybe guys like that, you know, if you replace them in the squad, not necessarily in the team, with Lovelace, with Cortez, who's 20-year-old people, or 21-year-old, with Bailey Rice and whoever, and Ciala, picking a few names off the top of my head, and said, you know what, we're going to go with these young guys for the rest of the season. Clement's going to stay in charge. They'll go with these young guys. Results will be up and down because that's what happened playing a lot of young players. But are you happy with that? Because we're not winning the league anyway. Do you think people would accept that if they said that?
No, because Rangers fans are Rangers fans, so they'll get the same as what other players. They'll get 20 minutes. Rice came on in a European game, gave away a free kick, and the comments were just like you know, that's never going to change. That's what it is playing for Rangers. You deal with that. Being a Rangers player is you get the big shoulders, you puff your shoulders out, and you know that you're going to get stick no matter what. But you're never going to get more of a perfect time than these guys to wear in. Now, what you were speaking about is what you're saying is absolutely fine, Gary. But Clement's big problem is he's been feeding us absolute pish since the start of the season. Every single press conference, this stuff he was coming out at the weekend, he was stuck in the desert on his own and all that. He wanted that at the start. He says at the start of the season he was happy because he had free reign to do what he wants, and I like this. I can do this, and I can do the set pieces, and he was like giving it the samba. I can do the set pieces. We've not scored a set piece goal, a decent one all season. I can do the defending. I can do the midfield. I can do the attackers. And now all of a sudden he's crying about it. So, though, the thing is, it's Gary, even at the weekend, right? We've not really touched on the match at the weekend. It's mental. His team is mental. 30 minutes, we were brilliant. Unbelievable. Same as the Celtic game in the second half. High press. Diamande was fantastic. We're pressing them, we're getting the ball back. St Johnstone didn't know what to do. They were like absolutely bamboozled. Our pace, our passing was crisp. Our movement was fantastic. Everyone was like, oh, why is Danilo not being in the team? Raskin was putting that press on high. And then for some reason, just before half-time, it completely drops. And then the second half, it's like you're watching a different team. It's absolutely bizarre. I've never seen it before. I have never seen... You've seen a team go up and down. You saw a team maybe play brilliant for 30 minutes, maybe a bit poor for 10, and then the second half come out, be brilliant for 15 minutes. The subs come on and it all becomes a bit loose and everything like that. But with a Clement team, it's even when you're watching for 90 minutes, you don't know what you're going to get. You get 20 minutes unbelievable, 10 minutes of absolute, they look like they've never played with each other again. And it's what I always say about the manager of Rangers, and if I take away all the other stuff, right? If this is a rebuild like you're speaking about, right? Next season, this time next season, will we be challenging Celtic? In my opinion, if Clement stayed as manager, hypothetically, this time next season, we would be 15 points behind again. The only thing I feel sorry for him for, but he said he was going to sort it, and this has been a big mistake, what all Rangers managers is, they think they can fix the injured players that we have. Your Lawrence, your Yilmaz, your Danilo looks injured again at the weekend. These guys, Suter, all these players. Every manager thinks we can fix these guys, and we cannot fix them. There's a couple of them that can stay as squad players that need to be rotated every 3 days. But we need to get rid of these guys that are injured all the time. It's killing us, absolutely killing us. For almost 3 seasons now, for most of the games, we've got 8, 9, 10 squad players out every single weekend. The last 4 times we've played Celtic, they've been full strength, and we've had 4, 5, 6 players out. I mean, it doesn't matter who the manager is. But he said he was going to fix that, and he's not fixed it at all. Then I don't think anyone. The only way you can fix that is moving on these guys that are injured all the time. And folk will go, oh, and I love John Suter as a defender. I think he's a fantastic defender. I would really like to see him in a team going forward. But you've got to rotate the guy, and you've got to treat him like he's glass, because he is glass, and that's like the name's absolutely spot on. These guys need to be moved on. Tav, I would sort of redefine his role. I'm a bit 50-50 with Tav. I think you should redefine his role. Take the
You're that gets carries away there, aren't you?
Take the cap. I thought he was all right before he got injured. Take the captaincy off him, not in a bad way. The same as it was done with Amoruso. And see if you can keep that form that he showed for just before he got injured, because he came back but he can't be taking corner kicks, goal kicks, corners, all that sort of stuff. It's got to be a redefined role for him. But we need to see changes, mate, and it's never going to change no matter who the manager is.
We're in the last 5 minutes of the pod, right? So we do want to really talk football now. So the boardroom stuff's done. Clement's done. We're on to the actual game against Aberdeen, which, to all intents and purposes, should be an exciting game to look forward to. You know, Aberdeen games are mostly ones in the calendar that you look forward to most seasons. However, obviously being 50 points behind and all the apathy around the club, it's a bit less interesting. But looking ahead to the game Wednesday night, what's your thoughts on it? I suppose your thoughts, your views. Ibrox hasn't been. I think you showed me something earlier on. Clement's got the best Rangers home record than any manager.
It has, aye. It has. Listen, Aberdeen games are always entertaining. I mean, it was Aberdeen game that got Michael Beale. Well, it was his last game into Aberdeen to get a sack, so you never know on Wednesday. But no, listen, Aberdeen have been playing well. They fell off a cliff recently and they've been struggling. But they're going to come to Ibrox and look forward to it because they always do. And I've been there in years and they've only been playing great. And then they've beat. I remember Ian Jess scoring a couple of goals. I'm going that far back. But even they beat us. I remember they beat us. We get 2 men sent off. I'm showing me how my age. I think Hugh Burns was one of them. And we only had 9 men in the beat us, and Aberdeen fans get kept in the stadium. All Rangers fans actually united that day. Were standing outside the stadium waiting to fight them. But I'm getting back to the 80s here. No, it's. I'm looking forward to Wednesday. I didn't go yesterday just because of point of principle, and I actually missed it, like I says. But I'll go on Wednesday and see what happens. Listen, if it's just football, I want to go and watch football. I want us to get 3 points. You don't know what Rangers will turn up, will it? But at the moment in time, you can look at some of the results we have. We have been decent at home. Away we've been poor, but we put in decent performances in Europe, the Cup. But that's what I said. I think we're a moments team. We play well at times. Then other times we're rotten. With the same 11 guys or 15, 16 guys. I think that's where we are. I think the mentality is not great. But that's what happens when you're no winning constantly. You pick up your games against other opposition, and against other opposition you think, I don't really need to. It's all in the mind for football players, you know what I mean? I put Dundee, we were poor, but Celtic we were great. Hibs we were good for the first 30 minutes. Then we tailed off, and then we got in the lead, and then we finally made. That's what I mean. But I say you want to put money in Rangers winning a game because you don't know what team's going to turn up. And Aberdeen are probably, see, at the moment, they probably should get beat at the weekend. The Hearts, weren't they great against Hearts, but they get a point. But they're going to come, because if they beat us, they're going to come to Ibrox Wednesday night and try and get a win, try and get their season started again. We're going to have to go out and win the game. Listen, the league's done it as, and there's a lot of dead rubbers in the league between now and the end of the season. So that's what I'm hoping, guys like Baylor Rice is included. Maybe Finlay Curtis gets minutes at some point down the line.
Are they away at something, Curtis? And
I'm talking about later on when
are they away some European thing?
Yeah, but it's because of these dead rubber matches, Gary. And I'm not saying dead rubber. I just mean like the league's over for me. We're going to finish second because I think United will tail off. Aberdeen have dropped like a fucking stone, and we will finish second. But if these guys can't get games now, when the lot of the league games aren't that important, because you're not going to win the league, you're not going to finish third. When are they going to get games?
Yeah.
You know that way. I think this is when you blood them and give them a chance. Then we can judge, but the manager can also judge. I know he watches the B games, and like somebody mentioned, there is a big gap between the academy games and getting into the first team. Massive. Physical as well, because a lot of the players are playing down there aren't as physical as guys are playing against in the SPL, and that's why a couple of boys have been loaned out. But you have to give them a chance just to see if they can step up and take it. Because age to me isn't important. It's how they produce the talent. I mean, there's like a man, I know he's built like I said, a shed, but he's stepped up and done really well. Hefty's been in and out, but he's still done enough to do really well since his first season of football. I just think some of these players deserve that chance. I'm not saying they're all going to make it, by the way, but Baylor Rice has got a lot of potential. So give him minutes, see what he does. Lovelace, if you don't want to lose him, give him some minutes and say, right, here you go. You'll get more game time next season if you prove me and maybe get my new contract. Finlay Curtis is scoring goals for fun. And it's very hard to find goal scorers. Doesn't matter what level you play at. So the boy's putting in the net now. Bring him up and see if he can do it, because when you're young, he's not going to be any fear. If he gets a chance and he scores, you think, I want to watch you, because we've got a player in their hands that will save his money. So you have to look at it for that as well. Nathan Patterson got a chance because injury and he'd done really well and he was sold. So you have to just sometimes bite the bullet and say, right, instead of bringing on somebody like Double for 3 minutes, 7 minutes, I'll give one of the young guys a game. That's what annoys me. Not so much playing Double. It's just, we know Double's not got a future at the club. Everybody knows that. Even the manager knows that. But we'll bring him on, say they might be young guys. Ros McCausland's fell off a cliff. Ros McCausland, to me, needs to go. He needs to be sold. I think you could sell him, get a wee bit of money. Don't know, whatever. Dessers as well. But bring these guys up, give them a chance. Along with the guys you want to keep. If he's here for the end of all season, or if he's been promised a job next season, and build something. Don't just play players for the sake of it. Build when the guys you think have got the mentality and you think of supplying the effort that you want, and bring on our players. And then if you do bring guys in January, that's fine. If you don't, then any money we make this month, you've got a wee bit of money in the summer to look at guys. And obviously Lyle Cameron will be saying on pre-contract by all accounts, so you're going to have him in the summer as well. Do you know what I mean? So try and build something, don't just play players for the sake of it.
So, Carrie, just sticking with the game. So I'm looking at a lot of the comments. The comments, in terms of team lineup, right? Most of the comments, the one that's gathering most discussion is probably about Hadji and whether Hadji should start. I think the rest of the team seems to pick itself. There's some views from some that Hadji's performance have dipped considerably. Ricky says he needs a cardboard cut out of his dad there before he performs. And looking at the team lineup, I don't know. Obviously, Hadji's one, but just in general, is there other changes you'd be looking to make?
I can't. It wouldn't matter, Gary. The changes I would want are not going to happen because Clement's not going to play the side that I want. I've already written this season off. I just want to see young players getting put in, and there's a big standard. I mean, you need to be a higher standard to play in the first team, but it doesn't really matter. At this time, I'm not going to be a bunch of young boys that are coming on and trying their best. Because the one thing I can guarantee is I think they're going to get 100%. Something that I can say at least 4 or 5 of your players are not showing just now. They're here going through the motions. I think some of you have been told that they will be leaving sooner rather than later. Or they've been told they're going to be moved on. And they've stopped, not so much that they've stopped trying, but they're still trying as hard as they would do. We had you. I thought his last game, he was a bit in there, but he set up a goal, so that's all you can ask for. It was the same when we had Dessers. He played crap, but he was scoring goals for us.
Yeah,
he was what we needed at the time, but in the long run, it's not the type of player that we need at Rangers. We need better than that. We need better quality than that. And that's the thing that we're lacking is the quality. I think we do have players that are worth for next season.
Yeah. But
I don't think we have the management to use the players or utilise the players in the right way.
So looking, Ricky, Carrie, if you give us a score prediction, what do you think? Do you know, I know you're a bit downbeat about the actual football side of things, so give a bit. If we are looking at the game,
they'll come, they'll try. This is their big cup game, the same as your big cup games playing against that mob now. It used to be we played up against anybody, they would turn up for us. Now that it seems that we only turn up for when that mob are about. I think it's going to be a 2 each, mate. Sorry, everybody, and I know it's really unstaunch, but I think it's going to be a 2 each because I think although their form has went right off a cliff, by the way, it's actually quite funny. It's good to be able to laugh at somebody else because they were the ones that were slagging us off when they were like 9 points ahead. They're basically right the shite now. They're getting a dose of it we've had to put through. So, but they'll turn up, and I hope that we do win. I hope we win. It doesn't really mean anything much other than a win in the long run, but I've got a funny feeling it's going to be like something like a 2 each because your defending, especially during set pieces, is absolutely honking.
Yeah. So I've seen somebody putting up there, I think maybe 2-0 with a penalty, and that made me laugh. Somebody said about we've got a penalty. Those days are long gone.
I've got a penalty this season.
We call him as promoted, and then suddenly no penalties for Rangers. I'm not conspiracy theories. Hearts got a penalty at the weekend, meaning we're the last team, the only team in the league. That's Willie has told the referees, I know this, not to give Rangers penalties no matter what, and that's the VAR referees as well.
I was at game, Ricky, so I've not seen the highlights. But was there any two, Danilo one or NCR, was there anything in there too?
I mean, they were a bit soft, to be honest. The NCR one, I thought he played all right, by the way, just to give him a bit. That was a wee bit of an elbow. It was quite. I seen an angle where it was quite nasty for the St Johnstone player. You know, I mean, and old Willie will come out with his cup of tea with Gordon and say, "Oh, that should have been a penalty to Rangers," because that's what he loves doing every month now, rubbing our noses in it. But that's another one to the long list, you know. But I mean, the one with the elbow could have been a penalty, mate. But I hope Sterling's back. I've seen someone in the comments. Hopefully, Big Sterling's back because I'd like to see him back at right back. I would keep NCR in the team. I think this is doing him the world of good. He's enjoying it. He's not exactly getting the Ibrox experience. He's thinking, Jesus, man, it was
Ricky,
more fun playing for AC Milan reserves.
Fiala, I said last season when he had a couple of games, I thought he's a really, really good. He's a clever boy, but he was a bit nonchalant, a bit. What's the word? He thought it was a bit special, and I think that needed to be knocked out of him. And see the last couple of games he's played, I actually think he's done all right.
Yeah, I think he's done all right. I think you can see him learning, and I think he would do. I mean, he wasn't really tested against St Johnstone that much, but we could do it with a goalkeeper with arms. That would be a start. Kelly at corner kicks is a riot, man. I've never seen. We thought Butland was bad when someone used to shoot and he disappeared. Kelly at corner kicks. He disappears. It's amazing, man. He just totally disappears when the ball comes in the box. So I'm going to go. I would put Sterling at right back if he's fit. That would be the only change I would make, because Ridvan there gives me absolute nightmares. Honestly, mate, he's bad enough at left back. Watching that wee guy run up the right is some going with all the pain we're going through as Rangers fans right now. So for me, Sterling there, I would keep NCL. I think Proper's been all right the last couple of games as well. He's not really, he's not great. I would still move him on if we get the opportunity. Shake hands and call it a draw, and then get another centre back in for me that's more suited to the Scottish game. But so I'll go 3-1 Rangers, the same as St Johnstone. Aberdeen will be bang up for it. I mean, we can laugh at them. 4 points since Celtic hammered them in the cup semi-final, but we all know that does not matter. I mean, this is Aberdeen we're speaking about. They're turning into Real Madrid or Barcelona, who won 4-1 yesterday. We'll say Barcelona. They'll turn up to Ibrox and they'll be 10 foot tall as normal. They'll be looking at this game as an opportunity to get like back on track with the forum, that because it's quite their season's been a bit mad as well. They were unbelievable, unbeaten. They lost to Celtic, and then ever since then, 4 points since then. It's just incredible. So, but I think 3-1 to Rangers I'll go for.
So everybody who's listening and watching tonight, Ricky is usually the best at this sort of thing. He's the man that predicted high scoring wins and things like that. So he says 3-1, get your money on 3-1. And I agree with you totally, Ricky. Ridvan, just watching him at that at right back, it's frightening, Joe, because he literally just runs in the park, doesn't know where to go, and it's not working for him, sadly. God loved a trier, as they say, but it's not been looking good. So we're coming to the end of the pod. We probably went on a wee bit longer than intended to, knew that we had so much to talk about after 3 days since last speaking to each other. Just to kind of wind up, I'll just go around the houses, Scott. I don't know if there's anything else you want to pick up. I've no managed to get through the agenda talking about.
Not really. I think we've covered kind of everything. Obviously, there'll be more stuff to cover after tomorrow night. But yeah, I'm a bit ahead of myself after Wednesday night. No, but I think I'm going to maybe just beat me to. I'm going to say 3-2 Wednesday. I think 3-2 could go either way. Aberdeen are decent in there. They've got a lot of big lads, and I think Proper will be under a bit of pressure. But I'm hoping we get the win, because I go back and watch hopefully go and watch a decent game of football, no matter. As I said earlier, it's a dead rubber. I know, just go and watch a decent game of football. But hopefully the atmosphere's better. It was yesterday, and that's all I can really say, Gary. But I think you've done well night with the host, and you've tried to you've captured everything, and you've sat in the fence as you usually do. But that's what I like to see.
And as time up, Joe, we've been here. My bum was getting sore on that fence, so I think on that note, it is probably time. Curry, cheers for joining us tonight. It's good to see you.
No bother, mate. It's a pleasure for me coming on as always, and just having a wee dig. And what I said about NCL, not last season, I meant last year.
Yeah.
So apologies. I've seen a lot of people maybe digging me up for that. Before I go, the one thing I do want to say is, what's happened to Yilmaz? Against Celtic, he was absolutely outstanding. In the last 2 games, he's been absolutely hoaching. He's been shocking.
He's been dreadful. I don't know whether it's because Maeda cuts inside, he was able to use his left foot, whereas every other player doesn't really know what.
But he was brilliant against them, but the last 2 games, he's been shockingly bad.
I think it's just Yilmaz in general. I think he's very inconsistent.
Probably, mate.
Gary, just before we go, I had £100 on Curry swearing 10 times, and I don't think he's even swore 3 times. It's,
I do appreciate that, Clement.
well,
I appreciate
honestly,
that.
a round of applause for brilliant, man.
My daughter watches
He's-
things
he's
like
a-
that, so
As soon as this
must-
camera goes off, don't you worry, there'll be plenty. Just go to my X account, you'll see plenty, I swear.
2000 new curry for 2025.
that's it. You're invited back.
Curry
You can come
2.0.
back. You can come back.
Happy
Right,
New
thank you,
Year.
everybody. You know, it's time to finish. We've been on for an hour and 10. So, cheers for your contribution. Again, lots of contributions in the comments. Tons of different people chipping in. Really appreciate it. If you've got questions, we maybe didn't get them all. We apologise. You know, we will be back 4 days from now and doing it all over again. So, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, etc., etc. And see you on Friday night. Bye now.